start by asking a question I'm sure you've never been asked before. Tell me the story of the beard.
One word: lazy.
In a rock world full of chaos, Billy Gibbons stands out. No scandals, no breakdowns, just a steady life devoted to music and staying true to himself. But behind his calm look is a powerful story. From a boy who loved Elvis to the last surviving member of ZZ Top, his journey is filled with passion, loss, and strength. How has he stayed grounded while others fell? Join us as we uncover the emotional and surprising truth behind Billy Gibbons' life and the heartbreaking news surrounding him. Billy's struggles and triumphs. In the world of rock music, bands come and go all the time. Fights, money problems, and addiction often tear them apart after just a few years. That's why it's truly amazing that ZZ Top stayed together for over 50 years. At the heart of that rare bond was a strong friendship, a kind of brotherhood, between Billy Gibbons and Dusty Hill. But in the summer of 2021, that special connection was suddenly broken. For Billy, it wasn't just losing a bandmate. It felt like a hole had been punched through his music and his life. On July 28, 2021, Dusty Hill passed away peacefully in his sleep at his home in Houston. The official announcement from the band was short, but behind those few words was a deep, personal heartbreak for Billy. He didn't cry for the cameras or give long interviews. Instead, he quietly honored a final promise Dusty had made him. "Keep playing. Don't stop because of me." And Billy kept that promise. Just days later, he returned to the stage. Dusty's longtime bass tech, Elwood Francis, stepped in to play. The lights stayed bright, the guitars still roared, but something was missing. The solid, steady heartbeat of Dusty's bass that had guided Billy through every song. That sound was gone, and Billy could feel the silence. Still, every night, before the show began, Billy would carry one of Dusty's old bass guitars on stage. It was his way of keeping Dusty close, and even now, when he glances to the left side of the stage where Dusty once stood, he seems to be listening for his old friend's notes, half hoping to hear them again. People have sometimes called ZZ Top old-fashioned because they stuck to their classic blues rock style. While other bands chased new trends and flashy sounds, Billy never cared about keeping up with the times. He once told Guitar World, "I don't play to compete. I play to stay true to my sound." Even when ZZ Top added electronic beats on Eliminator, or when Billy tried new things in his solo albums, the heart of his music stayed the same. Simple, slow, full of groove and feeling. Unlike many rock stars who chase fame, Billy Gibbons mostly avoids the spotlight. He lives quietly in the Texas desert, collecting vintage cars and strange old treasures. He rarely talks about his private life. Some call him a mysterious loner. Others say he's just private. But really, Billy has chosen to live the old-school way without worrying about likes, followers, or trends. He doesn't need to be shocking. He doesn't try to fight getting older. And maybe that's why, even though he's not always in the headlines, Billy Gibbons is still one of the most respected names in rock music. Throughout his career, he's dodged many of the traps that destroy others in the industry. No drug scandals, no band breakups, no messy drama. But no one escapes the harder parts of life: loss, grief, and lonely moments. Billy has simply faced them the only way he knows how, by picking up his guitar and letting the music do the talking. But how did Gibbons' journey start? Let's find out. Billy Gibbons' early life. Billy Gibbons was born on December 16, 1949, in Houston, Texas. Not in a poor neighborhood or a quiet farm, but in a comfortable, middle-class home filled with creativity. His father, Frederick Royal Gibbons, was no ordinary dad. He was an orchestra conductor, a stage director, and had even worked for the famous MGM Studios. In Billy's home, music wasn't just background noise. It was part of everyday life. It filled the rooms like air. It was how they connected, how they dreamed. When Billy was just 5 years old, his father took him to see Elvis Presley live in concert. That night changed everything. Little Billy stood in the crowd, eyes wide, as Elvis lit up the stage with only a few chords. The sound, the lights, the energy, the screaming fans, it hit him like a bolt of lightning. That was the moment Billy saw what music could do. He started with drums not long after, but by his early teens, he had fallen in love with the guitar. His first one, a Gibson Melody Maker, wasn't just a gift. It was the beginning of a journey that would last more than 60 years. But the real magic wasn't just the guitar. It was the world Billy grew up in. A world full of jazz from his father, gritty Texas blues, and the growing wave of California rock music. As a teen, Billy attended the Hollywood Professional School, a part-time school for young artists. He took classes with people like Liza Minnelli and got a close-up look at how the music industry really worked. That's where he started playing with sound, messing with gear, amps, and fuzz effects. He was chasing a new kind of guitar tone, something raw and dirty, something real. That tone would one day become the sound of ZZ Top. Billy didn't grow up fighting against the world. He wasn't running away from anything. Instead, he was running toward music, drawn to it like a magnet. His childhood wasn't filled with rebellion. It was filled with rhythm. Every blues note from B.B. King, every soulful lick from Jimmy Reed, it all sank into his bones. He didn't need chaos to find his voice. He just needed a guitar and a feeling. And from that deep love for sound, a quiet but powerful legend began to rise. Billy Gibbons, the man whose music would one day speak louder than Hors d'oeuvre could. Gibbons' early career. Back in the late 1960s, while many young Americans were protesting the Vietnam War and getting lost in psychedelic music, a 20-year-old Texan named Billy Gibbons was heading down a different path. He started his own band called The Moving Sidewalks, a rock group soaked in the wild, trippy sounds of acid rock, inspired by legends like Jimi Hendrix and Cream. The band released one album in 1968 called Flash. But it wasn't just the music that got people talking. What really turned heads was Billy's special connection with Jimi Hendrix himself. Hendrix, known for having one of the sharpest ears in music, once said on national TV, "Billy Gibbons is one of the finest young guitarists in America." That one compliment was like a lightning bolt. When Hendrix praised someone, the entire guitar world listened. Suddenly, everyone was paying attention to this young player from Texas. But the Moving Sidewalks didn't last long. The psychedelic scene was getting crowded, and Billy felt something was missing. He started longing for the deep, gritty sound of Southern blues, the music he grew up with. And from that desire, a new idea began to form. A band with just 3 members, but a sound as powerful as a freight train. In 1969, ZZ Top was born. Billy played guitar and sang. Dusty Hill played bass. Frank Beard, ironically the only one without a beard, was on drums. Like most bands, they started small, playing bars, local events, and opening for bigger acts. But Billy had a bigger dream. He didn't just want to play the blues. He wanted ZZ Top to become a symbol of the South. Music that sounded like burning rubber, dusty roads, cold beer, and hot summer nights. Their first album, ZZ Top's first album, came out in 1971. It didn't make a huge splash, but it showed something important. This band had style. The riffs were simple, but unforgettable. Every song dripped with Texas flavor. Billy wasn't flashy about success. He believed in taking things slow. One album, one show, 1 mile at a time. Over the years, more and more people started whispering the name ZZ Top. It wasn't a sudden explosion. It was more like a steady, growling engine, a sound you can't ignore. At the center of it all was Billy Gibbons. He wasn't just the guitarist, he was the soul of the band. He helped create their unforgettable look: long beards, dark sunglasses, and cowboy suits with silver trim. Billy didn't just make music, he built a brand. a living, breathing rock and roll image that would go down in history. From their blues roots, ZZ Top grew into boogie rock kings, and over time, they became one of the most iconic three-man bands ever. But it all started with one simple belief in Billy's mind. We don't need more people. We just need the right people, and a guitar that means something. But how did a gritty, three-man blues rock band manage to shine in a world full of synthesizers, flashy music videos, and neon lights? Let's find out. His career achievements. If the 1970s were the years ZZ Top built their foundation, then the 1980s were when Billy Gibbons and his band truly exploded into the spotlight. They didn't just grow musically, they became a cultural phenomenon. The secret of Billy Gibbons' success was himself, his sound, his style, and his sharp sense of timing. He blended old-school blues with modern visuals in a way that felt fresh but never fake. ZZ Top didn't lose their roots. They just polished them until they sparkled. Back in 1973, their album Tres Hombres pushed them beyond the southern US and into the global rock scene. One track, La Grange, with its raw, growling guitar riff inspired by a well-known Texas brothel, became a rock anthem. But that was just the beginning. Billy Gibbons wasn't only a brilliant guitarist, he understood image. And when MTV changed how people experience music, ZZ Top was ready. In 1983, they released Eliminator, an album that changed everything. With hits like Sharp Dressed Man, Gimme All Your Lovin', and Legs, they weren't just topping the charts, they were everywhere on TV, thanks to wild, colorful music videos full of cool cars, pretty women, and those unforgettable bearded men in sunglasses. Eliminator sold over 10 million copies in the US alone, making it one of the biggest albums of the decade. Even with new electronic sounds mixed in, ZZ Top never strayed from their blues rock heart. Gibbons still played those tight, punchy riffs, sang with his signature gravelly voice, and stood nearly still on stage, yet somehow stole all the attention. From 1983 to 1990, ZZ Top became more than a band. They became pop icons. They showed up in commercials, movies, and even Lego sets. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004, standing proudly alongside legendary trios like Rush and The Police. Through it all, Billy Gibbons remained the band's mastermind, the one behind the sound, the look, and the decisions. He didn't have to yell to lead. When his guitar spoke, everyone listened. His solos weren't about speed or fancy tricks. They had groove, attitude, and a smooth delay that made it feel like the guitar itself was telling a story. During this time, Billy also stretched his wings, producing music for other artists, teaming up with rock stars like Slash and Queens of the Stone Age, and even acting on the TV show Bones, where he played Angela Montenegro's father. He reached new audiences without ever losing who he was. If there's one reason Billy Gibbons has stayed relevant through all the changes in music, it's this: he stayed true to himself. He didn't throw away the past to stay current. He dug deeper into it and showed the world that old school can still lead the way. For Gibbons, the perfect guitar riff doesn't have to be fast or fancy. It just has to be right. And that's exactly how he's guided ZZ Top, not loudly, but with a presence no one can replace. Did Billy Gibbons live a scandalous lifestyle like so many other music legends? Let's dig deeper and find out. Billy Gibbons' personal life. In the wild world of rock and roll, where breakups, scandals, and wild parties often steal the spotlight, Billy Gibbons stands out like a quiet mystery. While other rock stars make headlines with their drama, Billy stays far away from the noise. You won't find him partying at flashy nightclubs or posting romantic selfies with younger women. Even after more than 50 years of fame, his personal life is like a gentle curtain, soft enough to let in light, but strong enough to keep the world out. In 2005, at the age of 56, Billy married his longtime love, Gilligan Stillwater. There were no magazine covers, no glamorous wedding photos. They had already spent nearly 20 years together before tying the knot, waiting until they knew each other so well that they didn't need big promises to prove anything. Gilligan isn't your typical rock star wife. She avoids the spotlight and has never used Billy's fame to gain attention. Maybe that's exactly why their relationship has lasted. Quiet, strong, and real. They don't have children and they live a peaceful life between their homes in California and Texas. Billy spends his time collecting vintage cars, rare guitars, and all kinds of odd, beautiful art. Friends say he's thoughtful, neat, and doesn't like to be disturbed. He's careful about how he lives and never felt the need to chase fame beyond his music. While many rock stars of his time are remembered for outrageous moments or crazy quotes, Billy stayed focused. One of his greatest passions besides music is custom cars. His famous 1948 Cadillac, nicknamed Cadzilla, is a car he helped design himself, and it's now a legend in the world of hot rods. To Billy, cars are more than machines. They're like musical instruments. Each one has a voice, a feeling, a soul. As he once said, "Cars are like guitars. They need the right tone, the right look, and they deserve respect if you want them to take you far." People often ask why he and fellow ZZ Top member Dusty Hill kept their long beards for so many years. Billy would just smile and say, "Because don't lie. If you let it grow long enough, it'll tell you what's real." No flash, no showing off. Just truth in his own quiet way. Billy Gibbons has lived his life like he plays the guitar, with rhythm, soul, and no need to impress anyone. Maybe that's why, even after all the ups and downs of rock history, he's still the same man, steady, true, and deeply Texan. He never tried to make the world remember him. He just lived in a way that if someone does think of him, they might smile and say, "That was a good man." And after all the stages he's played and the years that have passed, maybe that's more than enough. So what exactly makes him special? Let's take a closer look. Legacy and impact of Billy Gibbons. Billy Gibbons was never the kind of guitarist who tried to steal the spotlight. He didn't play as fast or as flashy as Eddie Van Halen. He didn't show off with wild fingerwork like Steve Vai. And he never shouted for attention like many others in the rock world. Instead, Billy took a quieter, more soulful path. His guitar doesn't race. It glides, like a slow drive down a dusty southern highway, under a burning sun and endless sky. Billy Gibbons became one of the most influential guitarists in American rock, not by being loud, but by being true to the roots of music. His playing style is a blend of deep blues, southern boogie rhythms, and gritty rock and roll. He draws from the old emotional language of the blues, mixes it with the raw growl of his Marshall amplifier, and adds a sound that's deliberately rough around the edges. He doesn't play to impress. He plays to feel. But what truly sets him apart isn't speed or difficulty. It's his restraint. Billy Gibbons understands the power of silence. He knows that music isn't just about what you play. It's about knowing when not to play. In a guitar workshop once, he said something simple but wise. Music is about what you don't play. In a time when many artists are focused on social media likes and online views, Gibbons stays faithful to a much older idea. Music should have feeling, and the musician should have a clear identity. That's why generations of guitarists admire him. From Dave Grohl to Jack White, from Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys to John Mayer, many have spoken with deep respect for Billy Gibbons. Not just because he's a great player, but because of the choices he makes with his music. He stays true to himself. Billy's influence reaches far beyond just guitarists. As the leader of ZZ Top, he helped turn the band into a pop culture icon. Their signature image, two long-bearded rockers cruising in a bright red Cadillac, starring in MTV videos, became one of the most recognizable symbols of the 1980s. That look and feel still show up in commercials, movies, and video games today. Gibbons didn't just play music. He became a symbol of something very American, cool, simple, and totally his own. At the heart of Gibbons' sound is his beloved 1959 Gibson Les Paul guitar, known as Pearly Gates. This guitar helped create some of the most unforgettable riffs in rock history. It became so famous that Gibson reissued it as a special edition, making it one of the most sought-after guitars by collectors around the world. But Billy Gibbons isn't just about guitars. He's also made a name for himself in the worlds of design, custom cars, and even fashion. He's worked with car shops, helped design sunglasses, and appeared on TV shows. Yet no matter where he shows up, you always know it's him. Long beard, dark shades, cowboy hat. His look says, "This is who I've always been. No need to change." And that, more than anything, is his quiet strength. Even at 75 years old, Billy Gibbons hasn't left the spotlight. Many artists his age have retired or only play their old hits, but not Billy. After losing his longtime bandmate Dusty Hill in 2021, a heartbreaking loss, Gibbons didn't step back. He kept his promise to Dusty and continued touring with ZZ Top, keeping the music alive for fans old and new. Every show he plays is more than a performance, it's a tribute. Beyond ZZ Top, Gibbons has kept his solo career strong too. His albums, like Perfectamundo in 2015 with its Afro-Cuban influences, The Big Bad Blues in 2018 with its gritty, traditional sound, and Hardware in 2021 with its dry desert rock vibes, all show his willingness to try new things while staying grounded in who he is. Each solo album is its own journey, always different, but always true to the man behind the beard. Even in 2024 and 2025, Gibbons keeps proving that age doesn't slow down real musicians. He released a new single, Living It Up Down in Texas, and contributed to the TV series Landman. He's also preparing for his fourth solo album and working with ZZ Top on their first new studio record in over 20 years. Still, he's not done with the road. After a solo tour with the BFGs in early 2025, he's now leading ZZ Top on the Elevation Tour, playing over 50 shows across North America. Even when longtime drummer Frank Beard had to step away for health reasons, Billy kept the band moving forward, just as he always has. Billy Gibbons has never been a loud man. He doesn't move wildly or throw his guitar around. Instead, he stands calmly, his long beard flowing, dark sunglasses hiding his eyes, and hands gently working the strings. His riffs feel like pouring smooth whiskey into a thick glass. Slow, deliberate, rich with flavor. And it's this calm power, this sense of control, that makes him unforgettable in American music history. In a world where artists often change themselves to fit the latest trend, Billy Gibbons chose to stay loyal to the music that first touched his heart: raw blues, southern rhythm, and rough-edged guitar tones. He didn't change to match the times had to adjust to him. For over 50 years, he's not only led ZZ Top through every shift in the music world, but he's also shown us a different kind of success. The kind built on honesty, patience, and passion. There were no big scandals, no publicity tricks, just a steady stream of music, heart, and a beard that grew with pride and purpose. His journey wasn't full of dramatic highs or sudden fame. It was more like a steady ride, one long groove that never lost its beat. He's faced loss, been overlooked by the media, and had to keep going when it was hard. But through it all, he kept making music, kept touring, kept touching hearts with every string he played. What are thoughts on the shocking news about Billy Gibbons? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.